A strange hum vibrates through the stones of the Great Pyramid. Modern science is just starting to grasp the energy secrets our ancestors built into ancient temples and monoliths. By the end of this exploration, you will see these mysterious structures not as silent ruins, but as sophisticated machines that may have harnessed the power of the earth itself. We will uncover why massive stones were placed with impossible precision over geological faults, and how empty chambers resonate with frequencies that alter consciousness. What forgotten truth about human history are these silent stones trying to tell us? The same mathematical perfection found in a seashell echoes in the silent stones of a Mayan pyramid. This is the language of sacred geometry, a hidden code written into the very foundations of ancient temples across the globe. It is more than just decoration. It is a sophisticated science of shape and proportion. Consider the golden ratio, a specific relationship between numbers often represented by the Greek letter phi. This exact same proportion appears in the spiral of a galaxy, the branching of a tree, and remarkably, in the precise dimensions of the Parthenon in Greece and the Great Pyramid of Giza. Researchers such as Robert Lawler suggest these are not mere coincidences. They propose that these perfect geometric forms create a state of harmonic resonance. Think of a tuning fork. When you strike one, another tuning fork nearby that is the same size and shape will begin to vibrate and hum in sympathy. In a similar way, a structure built to sacred geometric principles may be tuning itself to the subtle energies of the earth, perhaps even amplifying them. Each fundamental shape interacts with these forces differently. A circle is often associated with containment and unity, while a triangle channels and directs energy upward. But the pyramid shape is perhaps the most studied. Some physicists theorize that the pyramid form can actually focus electromagnetic waves, gathering ambient energy and concentrating it toward its center. This is not magic, but a potential property of its unique geometry. It forces us to ask a profound question. Did our ancestors simply stumble upon these designs, or were they mimicking the fundamental blueprints of nature itself, learning to harness a power that modern science is only beginning to measure? This deep understanding of form, however, is only one part of the equation. The very stones they chose to build withhold their own astonishing secrets. The stones themselves seem to pulse with a latent power. Look closely at the granite blocks of Machu Picchu, and you will see them sparkle. That is quartz crystal, a mineral deeply embedded in the very rock that built so many sacred sites. This was not a random choice. Quartz, along with granite and basalt, possesses a remarkable scientific property known as the piezoelectric effect. In simple terms, these stones can generate a small electric charge when they are squeezed or subjected to pressure. Imagine the immense weight of these massive blocks constantly pressing down on each other. Now add in the subtle, constant vibrations of the earth, or the occasional tremor from a geological fault line running directly beneath the structure. This combination could effectively turn an entire temple complex into a weak but steady natural battery. Researcher John Burke has taken electromagnetic meters to ancient stone circles and found something startling. These sites often produce abnormal spikes in energy, readings that suggest a built-up charge is being released from the stones themselves. This forces a radical idea into the open. What if our ancestors deliberately positioned their monoliths and temples directly over these subterranean fault lines, not in spite of the seismic risk, but because of it? They could have been using the Earth's own vibrations to power their structures. How did they know? How could they possibly have identified these specific material properties without modern instruments? The answer might lie not just in the ground beneath their feet, but in the sky above their heads. This intricate knowledge of earthly materials was perfectly married to a celestial map, guiding the placement of every stone toward the stars. The sparkle of quartz within stone connects directly to the patterns of the stars above. Ancient architects looked to the heavens as their ultimate blueprint, aligning their temples with breathtaking precision to celestial events. Each winter solstice, for just a few precious minutes, the first light of the rising sun streams directly through a narrow passage at Newgrange in Ireland, flooding its deepest chamber with a golden glow. This was not a happy accident. It is a feat of engineering and astronomy that required generations of observation. From the pyramids of Giza facing the cardinal directions with near-perfect accuracy, to the Temple of Carnac in Egypt aligning with the star Sirius, whose heliacal rising heralded the life-giving floods of the Nile, these structures were locked into the cosmic clock. Archaeoastronomer Giulio Magli suggests these alignments were a deliberate method for capturing specific cosmic energies. Solar radiation, lunar tides, and even the subtle pull of distant stars could have been funneled by these stone amplifiers. Was this purely for spiritual ceremony to connect the people with their gods in the sky, or was there a more tangible, physical purpose? Imagine a temple designed like a vast satellite dish, its corridors and chambers tuned to receive a particular energy from the cosmos at a specific moment. The stones, already primed with their piezoelectric charge, could have been activated by these celestial triggers. This merging of earth and sky points to a technology far beyond simple worship. It suggests our ancestors saw the universe as a single, interconnected system, and they built machines to tap directly into its rhythm. But what if they found a way to make these silent stones sing, using sound itself to complete the circuit and bring their temples fully to life? Deep beneath the sun-scorched earth of Malta lies the Hypogeum, a labyrinthine temple carved from solid rock. Within its echoing chambers, a whisper spoken softly in one room can be heard with perfect clarity everywhere, a phenomenon that defies simple explanation. This is not a quirk of architecture, but a masterclass in acoustic engineering. Modern experiments within these ancient, enclosed spaces reveal something extraordinary. Specific sound frequencies, particularly one known as 111 Hz, cause the very stone to hum in resonance. This is not a random number. Research by figures like Dr. Paul Devereux suggests this specific frequency may have a profound effect on the human brain. It appears to synchronize brain waves, potentially guiding listeners into a state of deep meditation or even an altered consciousness. The reverberations within these stone rooms could have acted as a technological gateway, a tool for ritual or healing that used vibration to change perception. You can almost hear it, the low chant of a priest echoing through the hall, the sound waves amplifying and building until the air itself seems to vibrate with a tangible energy. This leads to a startling possibility. If sound could be used to influence the mind, could it also have been used to influence matter itself? Could the precise sonic vibrations within a temple have interacted with the latent piezoelectric energy in the stones, creating a feedback loop of power? This sonic dimension completes the picture, connecting the geometry, the stones, and the stars to one final, overarching concept: the mysterious web of earth energies known as ley lines. These invisible threads of energy stretch across the globe like a vast, unseen nervous system. Alfred Watkins, an English amateur archaeologist, first gave these alignments a name in the 1920s, calling them ley lines after the old Saxon word for a cleared strip of land. He noticed that ancient sites, from the towering stones of Stonehenge to the silent moai of Easter Island and the Great Pyramid of Giza itself, often fell into startlingly straight alignments across the landscape. This is far more than a simple geometric curiosity. These lines frequently trace the paths of underground water veins, geological fault lines, and powerful magnetic anomalies deep within the Earth's crust. Dowsers who have practiced the ancient art of finding water with rods for centuries, and modern geobiologists who study the relationship between life and its physical environment, consistently report a palpable surge of energy at the points where these lines cross. Scientific instruments have, at times, confirmed these sensations, detecting spikes in gamma radiation at these powerful nodes. The theory emerging from these observations is profound. Ancient cultures may have deliberately built their sacred monuments directly upon these energetic intersections to tap into the planet's own telluric currents, the slow, deep electrical flows that course through the ground. Consider Glastonbury Tor in England, a hill steeped in Arthurian legend. It stands as a natural beacon at the confluence of multiple ley lines and has been associated with miraculous healing for over 1,000 years. Is this all just a series of incredible coincidences, or does it point to a forgotten global science, a unified understanding of the Earth as a living, breathing entity? Recognizing this potential worldwide network completely reframes our next destination, the greatest mystery of them all, the Giza Plateau. The Giza Plateau hums with a silent, latent power that defies its reputation as a simple royal tomb. Picture the Great Pyramid in its original, dazzling form, its peak crowned with a capstone of solid gold. That precious metal was not merely for splendor. Gold is one of the most efficient electrical conductors on Earth, and this brilliant apex may have served as a giant terminal, designed to interact with the electrically charged upper atmosphere. This is the core of a radical theory proposed by engineers like Christopher Dunn, who see the pyramid not as a silent monument, but as a colossal energy machine. He suggests the entire structure functioned as a harmonic resonator, a device tuned to the specific vibrational frequency of the planet itself. The immense weight of the pyramid stone blocks, pressing down on the limestone bedrock, combined with the subtle, constant tremors from deep geological faults, could have generated a steady piezoelectric charge. The pyramid's perfect geometry may have then focused this vibrational energy, converting it into a more usable form, perhaps even microwave transmissions. Every detail of its construction supports this idea of precision engineering. Its four sides align with the cardinal directions with an accuracy of less than 1/15 of a degree, an orientation that suggests its builders possessed an intimate knowledge of Earth's true metrics, its size and shape. Deep within its foundation, subterranean chambers carved directly into the bedrock could have housed chemical reactors, using groundwater and minerals to create a volatile, energetic environment. High above, the king's chamber is built entirely from massive granite beams, a stone packed with quartz crystals. This chamber may have acted as the machine's central amplifier, where acoustic waves from ritual chants or the Earth's own vibrations were intensified by the piezoelectric properties of the granite. The mystery only deepens with modern technology. Recent scans using muon tomography, a technique that peers through solid stone using cosmic particles, have revealed large, hidden voids deep within the pyramid's heart. What undiscovered mechanisms, what further proof of an ancient technology, lie waiting in that darkness? This single Egyptian marvel forces us to re-examine every similar structure across the globe, especially the echoing stone temples of the Americas, where another civilization seemed to possess the very same incredible knowledge. The silent army of Carnac marches across the Breton landscape, over 3,000 granite sentinels standing in eerie, parallel rows. This is not a random collection of rocks, but a sprawling complex laid out like a vast prehistoric circuit board etched into the earth. Modern geomagnetic surveys have mapped this ancient grid, revealing something startling: powerful energy anomalies pulsing in the spaces between the stones. These are not uniform fields, but concentrated pockets of magnetic intensity, suggesting the stones themselves are interacting with forces deep below the surface. Local folklore adds a haunting layer to this scientific discovery. For centuries, stories have persisted that these massive menhirs possess a strange life of their own, that they walk down to the rivers and streams to drink under the cover of night. While they do not literally move, this legend could be a poetic way of describing a very real phenomenon. The granite here is rich in quartz, and when the heavy sea mist rolls in or the morning dew settles, the increased humidity could trigger a weak but measurable piezoelectric response, a faint electrical charge as the stone absorbs the moisture. This aligns with another layer of genius in their placement. Archaeoastronomers have determined that the primary alignments of the Carnac rows do not point toward the sun, but are precisely oriented to the moon's most extreme rising and setting points, events that occur only every 18.6 years. This lunar connection is the key. The moon's gravitational pull controls the tides, and if the stones are acting as piezoelectric generators, the immense pressure changes in the Earth's crust caused by these tidal forces could have been the primary power source, rhythmically squeezing the quartz-rich granite to produce current. This leads to the unavoidable question of how Neolithic builders, without wheels or draft animals, could have possibly transported these multi-ton blocks of granite and erected them with such stunning geometric precision. The sheer scale of the operation suggests a society with a sophisticated, unified purpose, one that understood the energetic properties of their landscape on a level we are only now beginning to decipher. This deep understanding of earth, stone, and sky finds a startling parallel halfway across the world, in the ancient temples of India, where the science of sacred energy was codified into a complete architectural system. Deep within the temple of Vijayavithala, a gentle tap on a stone pillar rings out with the pure, clear note of a bell. These are not solid columns, but intricate assemblies of slender pillars, each one carved from a single, massive block of granite. Astonishingly, each pillar emits a distinct musical note when struck. This was no decorative whim, it was a masterful application of acoustic physics. The temple became a giant stone instrument, its very structure tuned to specific resonant frequencies, the purpose likely extended far beyond music. In the ancient Indian science of Ayurveda, specific sound frequencies are used for healing, believed to restore balance to the body and mind. The entire temple complex could have functioned as a massive sonic therapy chamber, where the vibrations from rituals and chants were amplified and refined by these perfectly tuned pillars, bathing visitors in a therapeutic field of sound. This sonic brilliance is matched by a metallurgical mystery. The temple's foundation is reinforced with iron beams that have stood for centuries without a trace of rust, a feat modern science struggles to explain without advanced alloy knowledge. This suggests the builders understood that their vibrational technology required a stable, non-corrosive framework to function correctly. Furthermore, the temple's strategic position on the banks of the Tungabhadra River was another critical component. The constant flow of water not only provided a source for potential hydroacoustic effects, where sound travels differently over water, but it may have also contributed to a piezoelectric effect. The pressure of the flowing river on the bedrock below, combined with the vibrations from the musical pillars, could have created a subtle, self-sustaining energy loop. This represents a breathtaking fusion of art and engineering, where beauty and function were seamlessly intertwined. It stands in stark contrast to the raw, monolithic power of a site like Carnac, revealing a different cultural expression of the same fundamental principle: the conscious harnessing of environmental energy. This same sophisticated intelligence echoes even louder in the distant Andes, where another civilization moved stone with such precision that not even a blade of grass can slip between the blocks. High in the Andes, the Sehuite stone rests, a massive granite canvas carved with a mysterious map of terraces, channels, and zoomorphic figures. Its intricate network of grooves and depressions is not random art, but a sophisticated hydraulic model. Researchers like Dr. Arlen Andrews propose that water channeled through these precise pathways was the lifeblood of the ritual. As water flowed, it would have generated a constant, gentle vibration, a subtle energy that, when combined with the stone's own piezoelectric quartz, could have transformed the entire shrine into a low-level power source. This was not mere symbolism, it was functional engineering, using the most abundant resource of the mountains to activate the stone. This deep understanding of hydroacoustics finds its grandest expression at Ollantaytambo, the colossal fortress where the stones themselves seem to defy physics. The massive polygonal blocks fit together in a complex, interlocking jigsaw with no mortar, yet not even a single sheet of paper can be slipped between them. This breathtaking precision served a purpose far beyond architectural brilliance. During an earthquake, while modern rigid structures crack and crumble, these walls are designed to dance. Each stone, locked perfectly with its neighbor, can shift and sway as a single, flexible unit, effectively dissipating the destructive seismic energy throughout the entire structure. But the mystery runs even deeper. Geologists using sensitive equipment have detected faint ultrasonic emissions, sounds far above the range of human hearing, emanating from these stones. This is likely a release of pent-up tectonic stress, the very energy of the moving earth captured and neutralized by the brilliant design of the walls. It is as if the builders were not just constructing shelters, but creating shock absorbers for the planet itself. Then there is Machu Picchu, the city in the clouds, where the very wind is part of the architecture. The careful alignment of its buildings with the surrounding peaks and gorges creates powerful wind tunnels. As the air funnels through these stone channels, it does not just whistle, it produces distinct, audible harmonics, a natural chord humming through the abandoned plazas. Were these places, from the water-channeled shrine of Sehuite to the singing city of Machu Picchu, designed as harmonic instruments for the entire mountain? The Andean worldview saw the earth as a living being, and their architecture suggests they learned to listen to its heartbeat, building in a way that harmonized with its immense natural forces rather than resisting them. This profound relationship with water and stone hints at a global principle, one that flows directly into the lifeblood of sacred sites everywhere, the undeniable power of water itself. Water flows through these ancient sites like a life-giving current, and its purpose may have been far more than simple irrigation or ritual cleansing. Consider the breathtaking stepwells of India like Chand Baori, a massive inverted pyramid carved into the earth. Its 3,500 symmetrical steps descend into the darkness, creating a dizzying geometric pattern. When the monsoon rains fill the well, water does not simply pool, it cascades down these steps, churning into powerful, spiraling vortexes. This motion is not chaotic, it is a fundamental process. Pioneering naturalists like Victor Schoboger dedicated their lives to studying this very phenomenon, observing that a naturally flowing vortex structures water, charging it with energy, and even creating a negative electrical charge that can draw oxygen into the water. This ionization of the air around the falling, spinning water could have filled the entire stepwell with a palpable, energizing atmosphere. This principle of using moving water appears again and again across the ancient world. Sacred springs and underground aquifers were consistently chosen as the foundations for temples, from the oracle at Delphi to the holy wells of Celtic lands. Water is a known conductor of electricity, and these subterranean flows could have been acting as natural grounding wires or even energy transmission lines, channeling the Earth's telluric currents directly into the heart of the sacred structure. Even the magnificent Roman aqueducts, celebrated for their practical genius, may have had a hidden energetic function. The constant, controlled flow of water across vast distances, channeled through stone and cement, could have been subtly electrifying the urban centers they served, creating an ambient energy field that modern science has yet to fully quantify. In Japan, the iconic Torii gates of Itsukushima Shrine appear to float on the sea at high tide. This is not just a beautiful aesthetic, it is a deliberate fusion of structure and element. The gate, standing in salt water, a superior conductor, is believed to be continuously charged and purified by the ocean itself, enhancing its spiritual potency. This brings us to a profound and tangible question. Could the simple, relentless flow of water have been the final component needed to electrify the great monoliths? Imagine a stone circle like Stonehenge, positioned over a hidden aquifer. The pressure of the moving water deep below, combined with the piezoelectric quartz in the stones, could have generated a weak but constant electrical field. This would not have been a destructive power, but a subtle, ambient energy that visitors would have felt physically. This aligns perfectly with the countless reports from people who visit these sites today, describing sensations of peace, tingling, or a heightened sense of awareness. The effect is not merely psychological, it is potentially physiological, a biological response to an environment charged by the ancient, intelligent marriage of water and stone. That faint hum you feel in the air at a stone circle, that subtle vibration under your palm when you touch a menhir, is more than imagination. It is a biological conversation. Our own bodies are bioelectric systems, our hearts and brains communicating through subtle electrical impulses, and these ancient sites seem to interact with that fundamental energy. In places like the Men Atoll in Cornwall, visitors consistently report a distinct tingling sensation when they place their hands on the stone, a phenomenon that biofield researchers are beginning to measure as a tangible transfer of energy. This is not limited to ancient Europe. In the red rock canyons of Sedona, so-called vortex sites have been associated for generations with feelings of profound peace, mental clarity, and a surge in physical vitality. Skeptics dismiss it as the power of suggestion, but what if the suggestion is being amplified by a real physical cause? Scientific instruments have, at times, recorded localized anomalies in the electromagnetic fields at these very spots, subtle shifts in the Earth's magnetic signature that could directly influence our own neural and cellular functions. This idea finds a strange echo in modern, if controversial, experiments with pyramid shapes. Enthusiasts have documented that organic matter like food placed inside a scale model of a pyramid dehydrates without rotting, and that razor blades left inside reportedly regain their sharpness. While mainstream science remains skeptical, these observations hint at a potential concentration of an unknown energy that can affect physical matter. It forces a compelling question. Could the large-scale original pyramids have been designed to concentrate a life-enhancing energy field, one that practitioners of traditional medicine have intuitively used for millennia? From Celtic druids to Native American shamans, healers have consistently chosen stone circles and natural vortices for their ceremonies, claiming these locations amplify a universal life force. How does this work? The human body is a delicate electrical instrument, and our cells are surrounded by charged membranes that govern everything from nutrient absorption to neural communication. A persistent, gentle external energy field, perhaps one generated by the piezoelectric hum of quartz-rich stone, could subtly enhance these natural cellular processes, leading to improved mood, reduced stress, and a sensation of renewed vitality. This is not magic, but a potential resonance between the macrocosm of the Earth and the microcosm of our own biology. Yet to move this from anecdote to evidence requires tools, a way to measure the immeasurable and map the unseen forces that our ancestors may have perceived as plainly as we see the sunrise. A magnetometer swept across the grassy fields of Avebury registers a sudden, inexplicable spike. This is not an isolated event. During the 1980s, a collective of scientists and engineers known as the Dragon Project conducted extensive surveys at ancient sites across Britain, and their instruments consistently picked up anomalous magnetic fluctuations, pulses of energy that had no logical geological source. These were not ghosts but measurable physical phenomena. Today, the investigation has advanced far beyond simple meters. Ground-penetrating radar now peers deep into the earth beneath stone circles like Carnac, revealing not just the tips of the monoliths we see, but their massive, root-like foundations, and occasionally, the ghostly outlines of hidden chambers or curious deposits of metallic ore buried with deliberate intent. The stones themselves appear to be just the visible component of a much larger, subterranean machine. The most startling data comes from the realm of quantum physics. Researchers employing ultra-sensitive quantum sensors have begun mapping the energy fields around pyramid models and full-scale structures. They have recorded unusual patterns consistent with what some physicists call torsion fields, a theoretical form of spin-based energy, and scalar waves, which are potential standing waves that do not diminish over distance. These are not the electromagnetic waves we use for radio, but something far more subtle and fundamental, perhaps a background energy of space-time itself that the pyramid's geometry is adept at focusing. Back in controlled laboratories, experiments are yielding equally fascinating results. When scientists construct precise scale models of sacred temple geometries and place crystals inside, they observe measurable changes in the rate and structure of the crystal's growth. The shape of the surrounding space seems to be directly influencing the organization of matter at a molecular level. So what do these cold, hard data points truly reveal about the minds of the builders? They suggest that their intentions were not purely spiritual or astronomical, but profoundly physical. They were not just worshipping the forces of nature, they were building interfaces to interact with them. The alignment to a star or the solstice sun was likely one part of a complex calibration process, a way to tune their stone instruments to a specific cosmic frequency. The choice of quartz-rich granite was a deliberate selection of an active component, not just a durable building material. Every decision, from the overall shape down to the placement of a single stone, appears to have been guided by a unified science that understood the energetic properties of the Earth and how to harness them. This growing body of evidence forces a monumental shift in perspective. It bridges the gap between the intuitive wisdom of the ancients and the quantitative language of modern physics, pointing toward a forgotten technological paradigm. This scientific validation does not diminish the mystery, it deepens it, compelling us to ask not just how they built these structures, but why they invested such immense effort in a technology of energy and vibration. The answers may lie not in the stones alone, but in the cultural knowledge that guided the hands that placed them. Cuneiform tablets from ancient Mesopotamia describe their towering ziggurats not just as temples, but as bridges to the gods. This was likely more than poetic language. In their worldview, a bridge implies a connection, a conduit for something to travel across. Could this have been a metaphor for an energy conduit, a structure designed to facilitate the flow of a divine or natural force from the heavens to the earth? This idea of mapping invisible energy is echoed on the other side of the world, in the enduring oral traditions of Aboriginal Australians. They speak of song lines, intricate pathways that crisscross the entire continent. These are not physical trails, but narratives sung into existence during the dream time, describing the landscape and its hidden, energetic currents. To walk a song line and sing its specific song was to interact with and sustain the life force of the land itself. It was a living, acoustic map of the Earth's subtle anatomy. How is it that cultures separated by vast oceans and millennia arrived at such a similar understanding of an energized world? The parallels are too striking to ignore, yet this profound, unified knowledge did not survive intact. Its disappearance can be traced to a few catastrophic forks in the road of history. Invasions and conquests often systematically dismantled the spiritual and intellectual frameworks of the defeated, relegating their practical sciences to superstition. Natural disasters could wipe out entire centers of learning in a single event. Perhaps most subtly, the transition from oral traditions to written records may have itself been a culprit. Practical, hands-on knowledge of how to tune a stone or align a temple might have been considered too sacred or too mundane to write down, or the scribes simply focused on recording royal lineages and laws, allowing the applied energy science to fade from memory. Even in the cryptic texts of medieval European alchemists, we find faint echoes of this lost wisdom. They wrote of the stone that breathes, a puzzling phrase that could be a veiled reference to the piezoelectric effect, the idea that certain stones could absorb and release energy as if they were alive. This was not mainstream knowledge, but a secret thread passed down through initiates. The global recurrence of these principles forces a fundamental shift in how we view the archaeological record. We can no longer look at a ziggurat and see only a religious platform, or at a stone circle and see only a primitive calendar. We must begin to reinterpret these finds with an energy-focused lens, asking not just what they meant, but what they were designed to do. This re-examination leads us directly to the most tangible evidence of all, the stones themselves, and the incredible tools our ancestors used to shape them. The T-shaped pillars of Göbekli Tepe rise from the Turkish plains like silent giants, their surfaces carved with intricate animal forms. For decades, these structures were labeled as the world's oldest temple, a purely ritualistic space. But a closer examination reveals something more complex. Archaeoacoustic studies show that these massive limestone pillars possess remarkable sound resonance. When struck or chanted near, they produce specific reverberations that could have enhanced ceremonial states or even interacted with the human brain's frequency. Simultaneously, geomagnetic surveys have detected unusual fluctuations around the pillars, suggesting they might be standing on a powerful telluric current. This is not to dismiss their spiritual significance, but to expand it, proposing that the spiritual and the technological were one and the same. The mainstream archaeological reluctance to consider such energy theories often stems from a lack of conventional evidence, yet artifacts like the Baghdad battery present a stubborn puzzle. This simple clay jar, dated to the Parthian period, contains a copper cylinder and an iron rod. When filled with an acidic electrolyte like vinegar, it generates a small but measurable electric current. Was it merely for electroplating jewelry, or could it have been a symbolic model of a much larger principle our ancestors understood, a way to demonstrate the very concept of harnessing natural power? The evidence for a sophisticated understanding of energy distribution becomes even more compelling when viewed from above. LiDAR scans penetrating the Cambodian jungle have mapped the sprawling complex of Angkor Wat, revealing a stunning secret. The arrangement of its temples and reservoirs creates a massive grid pattern on the ground that deliberately mirrors the cosmic constellation of Draco. This was more than just celestial mimicry. It was likely a form of what some researchers call telluric gardening, a method of structuring the landscape to channel and balance the Earth's own energy flows, using the temples as nodal points in a vast, invisible circuit. By weaving together these disparate threads from geophysical data to enigmatic artifacts, a new functional interpretation emerges. What if the stone basins we call altars were not just for offerings but acted as primitive capacitors, storing a subtle charge generated by the surrounding stones and the earth below? Could the labyrinthine passages beneath pyramids have been waveguides for acoustic or electromagnetic energy? This revised perspective forces a monumental shift. It asks us to look past the symbolic carvings and see the operating manual, to decipher a language where a spiral represents a vortex of energy, a zigzag line depicts an electrical current, and a circle signifies a contained field of power. The stones were not just canvases for art, they were the components of a forgotten technology, and their symbols may be the key to reading the schematic. The spiral carved into the entrance stone at Newgrange is more than a beautiful pattern. It is a precise diagram of a vortex. Modern physics uses remarkably similar illustrations to depict torsion fields, a theoretical energy that spirals through space. This ancient symbol did not merely represent a spiritual concept, it likely encoded a functional understanding of how energy moves. In Egypt, the Ankh, the famous symbol of life, holds a parallel secret. Its loop and cross shape bear a striking resemblance to a modern tuning fork, a tool designed to produce a pure, resonant frequency. Could the Ankh have been a symbolic key for initiates, representing the principle of tuning a structure or even the human body to a specific, life-enhancing vibration? This idea of symbolic instruction finds its most intricate expression in the mandalas of Hindu temples. These elaborate geometric designs are not just art for meditation, they are precise architectural blueprints. The mandala's concentric circles and lotus petals correspond directly to the chakra points in the human body, the subtle energy centers described in ancient texts. When a temple is built according to a mandala's design, its layout physically mirrors this energetic anatomy. The central spire, or shikara, aligns with the crown chakra, while the inner sanctum corresponds to the heart. This creates a powerful resonance between the building and the person within it, a deliberate alignment of microcosm and macrocosm. These symbols were not passive decorations, they were active components of the technology, a visual language that conveyed complex energetic principles to those who could read it. The spiral teaches the nature of a vortex, the Ankh demonstrates resonance, and the mandala maps the connection between human consciousness and sacred space. They were the operating manuals for the machines of the gods, written in stone and pigment for generations to understand. This deep integration of meaning and function elevates these structures from simple monuments to interactive systems. They were designed not just to be seen, but to be experienced with the entire being, harmonizing the visitor with the very energies the builders had learned to harness. The resonant hum of a Tibetan monk's chant does more than fill the air, it physically vibrates the quartz crystals embedded in the monastery walls. This is a deliberate act of collaboration, a human voice joining with the latent power of the stone. Across cultures and centuries, spiritual practices appear designed to activate these sacred spaces, as if human consciousness itself is the final component needed to complete an ancient circuit. The rhythmic spinning of Sufi dervishes, the synchronized prayers in a Gothic cathedral, the focused meditation within a Zen garden, all share a common thread. They are methods of entrainment, a process where our internal biological rhythms, our heartbeat and brain waves, gradually synchronize with the dominant frequency of the environment. When a group gathers with a unified intention, this effect can amplify, creating a powerful collective biofield. The Druids, for instance, were said to use stone circles not just for celestial observation, but as portals for astral projection. This might be more than myth, if these sites generate a subtle electromagnetic field, as instruments suggest, and if specific brainwave states like theta waves, associated with deep meditation and vivid imagery, can be influenced by external frequencies, then the stones could have acted as a natural amplifier for consciousness. The architecture provides the steady, resonant frequency, and the human mind, through ritual, learns to tune itself to that station. This leads to a profound and measurable possibility. Could the focused intention of a group ritual have generated a tangible, physical energy within these spaces? Modern experiments with random number generators, devices that produce a random sequence of ones and zeros, have shown something remarkable. When large groups of people focus their collective attention on a single, coherent thought during global meditation events, these machines temporarily become less random, their output skewing toward order. This suggests that consciousness may indeed interact with the physical world in a way we are only beginning to quantify. The ancient sites, then, were not just power plants in a purely electrical sense. They were interfaces where human consciousness could plug into the energy grid of the Earth, using focused intention as the ultimate catalyst to transform subtle environmental forces into a palpable experience of the sacred. Quantum physics presents us with a profound puzzle, the double-slit experiment. When scientists fire tiny particles at a barrier with two slits, they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern. Yet, the moment this process is observed, the particles behave like solid little bullets. The very act of watching seems to collapse the wave function, forcing a single reality into existence. This suggests that consciousness itself is not a passive spectator, but an active participant in shaping the material world. Could this be the ultimate secret our ancestors built into their temples? Stories from indigenous traditions often speak of shamans singing to stones or performing rituals to awaken the spirit within the rock. From a modern perspective, this is not necessarily superstition. It aligns with emerging theories that focused human intention can produce measurable changes in local electromagnetic fields. The stones, laden with piezoelectric quartz, could have been exquisitely sensitive receivers, waiting for the coherent frequency of a unified human mind to switch them on. A powerful modern example comes from the Findhorn Garden in Scotland. On barren, windswept soil, a small community produced impossibly large and vibrant plants through what they described as attunement and communication with the intelligence of nature. While skeptics point to the soil's unique mycelial network, the gardeners themselves credited their success to collective meditation, a practice of directing conscious love and attention. If human consciousness is a field that interacts with physical reality, then these ancient temples were not just energy amplifiers, they were consciousness amplifiers. Their perfect geometry and resonant chambers were designed to focus and magnify the power of collective thought and prayer. This idea inevitably invites skepticism. How can we possibly test such a metaphysical hypothesis with hard science? One method involves deploying sensitive magnetometers and random number generators inside these sacred spaces during large group meditations and comparing the data to readings taken when the sites are empty. Another approach is to study the water structure from sacred springs before and after intentional ceremonies, as the work of researchers like Masaru Emoto suggested that conscious intent can alter water's crystalline form. The challenge is immense, but the potential reward is a fundamental rewriting of our relationship with the universe. It proposes that the final, missing ingredient for activating these ancient power places was not a forgotten technology of wires and gears, but the living, focused awareness of the people who used them. This bridges the gap between the mystical and the mechanical, suggesting that the true purpose of these structures was to serve as interfaces where human consciousness could directly converse with the intelligence of the earth. Science demands we listen to the skeptical voice, the one that urges caution against seeing patterns where none may exist. The measured energy spikes at ancient sites could simply be the random burps of a geologically active planet, with no more deliberate intent than a rumbling volcano. Mainstream archaeology offers a powerful counter-narrative, one where these grand structures served as profound symbols of cosmic order and political power, not as machines. The pyramids were tombs, Stonehenge a ceremonial calendar, their true purpose rooted in the human need for meaning and social cohesion, not in an esoteric physics we are projecting backwards. When visitors report feelings of peace or tingling sensations, critics point to the well-documented placebo effect, where a powerful belief can create a very real physical experience. The brain is a suggestible organ, and the awe-inspiring setting of a stone circle is more than enough to elicit profound changes in perception without any external energy field. Furthermore, for every intriguing measurement of magnetic anomaly, there is a failure to replicate it in a controlled, double-blind study. This lack of consistent, reproducible data is the bedrock of scientific skepticism. It is argued that connecting these dots with lines of energy is a classic case of apophenia, the human tendency to find meaningful connections in random information. We are imposing a modern, technological framework onto cultures for whom such concepts would have been utterly alien, a form of intellectual colonialism that ignores their actual worldviews. This critical perspective is not a dismissal of wonder, but a defense of historical accuracy. It forces a vital question: how can we explore these fascinating possibilities without abandoning the principles of evidence and reason? The answer may lie in refining our methods. Instead of searching for proof of a specific ancient technology, we can look for universal principles. If certain shapes and materials naturally interact with environmental energies, then this should be demonstrable in a laboratory, independent of any archaeological context. This rigorous ground-up approach separates scientific inquiry from speculative fiction. By engaging directly with these skeptical arguments, the investigation becomes stronger, more focused, and ultimately more credible. It channels our curiosity into building a new, more sophisticated language for dialogue between the intuitive wisdom of the past and the analytical power of the present. A simple cardboard model of the Great Pyramid, built to precise scale, produces a startling effect inside. A razor blade placed under it seems to sharpen itself, and organic matter dehydrates without rotting. These are the kinds of effects documented in Russian experiments, where researchers constructed pyramid replicas and observed measurable changes in the physical world. When the same principles are applied to living things, the results become even more compelling. Seeds stored inside these scale models have demonstrated significantly accelerated germination rates and more robust growth compared to control groups. Water exposed to the pyramid's interior geometry forms more complex and symmetrical crystalline structures when frozen, a phenomenon that hints at a fundamental change in the water's molecular organization. This is not magic, it is a potential property of form influencing energy, and it is now being consciously applied in our modern cities. The soaring curves of the Gherkin building in London are not merely an aesthetic choice, they follow the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical pattern found throughout nature. Architects who intentionally use these sacred proportions report that occupants experience less stress and a greater sense of well-being, suggesting that our biology responds positively to spaces built on nature's own blueprints. The commercialization of this ancient wisdom is already underway. Companies are developing small personal devices that claim to emit the same 111 Hz frequency found resonant in the Hypogeum, marketing them as tools for meditation and stress relief. While these technological replications validate that certain geometric and energetic principles are real and measurable, they also highlight a crucial limitation. Can a mass-produced plastic device truly capture the profound power of a monolithic stone chamber that has been humming with telluric energy for 5,000 years? We are attempting to replicate the effect while completely removing the cultural and spiritual context that was its very heart. The ancient builders saw their work as a collaboration with a living earth, a sacred act. We see it as a set of data points to be reverse-engineered. This gap in understanding forces a vital question as we stand at the threshold of a new era. If we can move beyond simple replication and genuinely grasp the underlying philosophy, how might this forgotten science of energy and resonance be used to heal our modern world? The forgotten science of the ancients could become the bedrock of our sustainable future. Imagine a city where the skyline is not dominated by belching smokestacks, but by sleek, pyramid-like structures that silently harvest static electricity from the atmosphere itself. This is not science fiction, but a direct application of the principles we see at Giza. These modern resonators could tap into the planet's natural electrical field, generating clean power day and night and drastically reducing our dependence on fossil fuels. Our very roadways could be transformed into power sources. Inspired by the piezoelectric response of ancient granite blocks, we could pave highways with a special composite material. Every passing car, every truck, would generate a small electrical charge through the pressure of its weight, turning the relentless flow of traffic into a massive, decentralized power plant. Even our approach to water could be revolutionized. The ancient stepwells of India demonstrated the energizing power of the vortex. Modern purification systems could mimic these spiral designs, using controlled vortex motion to naturally oxygenate and structure water, breaking down pollutants without harsh chemicals and creating a more efficient, sustainable treatment process. These are not isolated ideas, but part of a cohesive vision. By deeply studying how monoliths interact with natural forces, we could develop a new generation of passive energy harvesters, devices that require no fuel and create no waste, simply by being in tune with the subtle vibrations of the earth. This leads to a grander possibility. What if our future energy grids were not a messy web of cables, but a deliberate network that mimicked the Earth's own ley lines? We could map the planet's telluric currents and place our energy collection and distribution nodes at these powerful intersections, creating a grid that works with the planet's rhythm rather than against it. These breathtaking possibilities highlight an urgent and sobering reality. Every ancient site that is lost to urban development, vandalism, or the slow erosion of time is not just a historical tragedy. It is the loss of a potential blueprint, a page torn from a master engineer's handbook. The race is on to study and preserve these silent stone libraries before their secrets fade away forever, taking with them the key to a future built in harmony with the world. A silent earthwork drawing of a hummingbird sprawled across the Peruvian desert now faces the rumble of industrial machinery. The Nazca lines are not just ancient art, they are immense geoglyphs whose purpose remains a profound mystery, and modern urban expansion is slowly carving into their edges. This physical damage does more than scar the visual landscape. It could be disrupting the very energetic integrity these formations were designed to hold. The threat is not only on the ground. On the remote coast of Easter Island, the stoic Moai statues stand against increasingly violent storms and rising sea levels, their stone faces slowly being eaten away by salt and wind. Climate change is acting as an accelerator, eroding these monuments at a pace that outstrips our ability to respond. Each layer of stone that flakes away may carry with it a piece of their original resonant frequency, a subtle property we have only just begun to suspect. Alongside these natural assaults, the sheer weight of human fascination poses its own danger. Unregulated tourism and the relentless looting of artifacts strain delicate local ecosystems and sever the spiritual connection that indigenous communities hold with these places. This brings us to a difficult ethical crossroads. To truly understand the energy secrets of a pyramid, would we be justified in drilling into its hidden chambers? Should we place electromagnetic sensors on stones that are still considered living ancestors by native peoples? The quest for knowledge must be balanced with a deep and genuine respect for the living cultures who are the inheritors of these sites. The challenge for our generation is not merely to preserve the physical forms of these structures, but to find ways to document their intangible properties, their unique sonic signatures and electromagnetic fields before they are silenced forever. How do we protect something we are only beginning to perceive? The answer requires a new kind of archaeology, one that listens not just with tools but with reverence. A single pyramid-shaped hill in Bosnia has become a battleground for ideas, demanding a new kind of scientific investigation. To truly test such extraordinary claims, we need an equally extraordinary team, one that brings together geologists to analyze the soil, physicists to measure subtle frequencies, and archaeologists to interpret the context. But the most crucial members might be those who understand the land's intangible history, the spiritual practitioners whose ancestral knowledge offers a different map of the same terrain. This is the emerging model, a holistic approach where a soil sample and a sacred story are given equal weight as data points. Universities are slowly catching on, establishing formal programs in archaeoacoustics, the study of ancient sound, and geomagnetic studies, which explore how human structures interact with Earth energies. These fields are not fringe hobbies, they are rigorous academic disciplines fostering collaboration across once siloed departments. The evidence is no longer just in the dirt, it is in the air, in the hum of a stone, and in the memories of the people. This collaborative spirit extends beyond the academy, embracing the power of the crowd. Citizen science projects now invite thousands of people to use their smartphones and GPS devices to help map the potential paths of ley lines, creating a massive, decentralized data set that no single researcher could ever compile alone. When a geologist's electromagnetic reading aligns with a dowser's centuries-old map and a cluster of GPS points from global volunteers, a pattern emerges that narrow disciplines would have missed. What new insights might emerge when a physicist and a shaman compare notes on the same energetic hotspot? The conversation itself becomes the experiment, challenging the very language we use to describe reality. These partnerships are not just about validating ancient secrets, they are paving the way for entirely new methodologies, proving that the biggest mysteries are not solved by specialists working alone, but by diverse minds building a shared understanding. A new satellite passes silently over the deserts of Egypt, its sensors tuned not to visible light, but to the subtle magnetic and gravitational whispers of the Earth below. This is the next frontier in ancient energy studies, a shift from ground-level observation to a planetary-scale investigation. Future missions could deploy fleets of these advanced orbital platforms, systematically scanning the entire globe for hidden energy hotspots. The resulting maps would then be overlaid with the known locations of temples, stone circles, and earthworks, searching for a definitive, data-driven correlation. Imagine discovering that every major megalithic site sits directly atop a specific, measurable anomaly in the planet's crust, a pattern invisible from the ground but undeniable from space. On the surface, archaeologists will wield tools that seem borrowed from science fiction. Quantum gravimeters, devices so sensitive they can detect minute variations in local gravity, could reveal hidden chambers and subterranean river systems without ever breaking ground. These non-invasive probes would allow us to see inside the Great Pyramid or beneath the stones of Carnac, mapping their hidden anatomy and understanding how these features contribute to the overall energy system. The sheer volume of data from these sources, from satellite imagery to subsurface scans, is too vast for any human team to process. This is where artificial intelligence enters the picture. Machine learning algorithms could be trained to analyze the architectural blueprints of thousands of ancient sites, searching for geometric and proportional patterns that have eluded us for centuries. The AI might identify a recurring angle or a specific chamber shape that consistently correlates with areas of high electromagnetic output, pointing us toward a universal design principle we have yet to recognize. The driving force behind this scientific renaissance may not come from archaeology departments, but from the global push for sustainable technology. As the world seeks cleaner energy sources, the prospect of learning from structures that have harnessed natural power for millennia becomes incredibly compelling. Major tech and energy corporations could pour funding into this research, hoping to reverse engineer these ancient marvels. Where will these converging investigations lead us in the next 10 years? We might finally possess a complete energy map of our planet, a guide to its invisible power grid, with every ancient site marked as a node. We could witness the development of the first functional, large-scale pyramid resonator, generating clean electricity from atmospheric static. The next decade promises not just to uncover our history, but to fundamentally reshape our future. Scattered across the globe, the evidence builds toward an undeniable pattern. In the dense jungles of Costa Rica, nearly 300 perfectly round stone spheres, some weighing over 16 tons, rest in mysterious groupings. Modern compasses reveal that many of these formations are aligned with startling accuracy to magnetic north. This was not a random placement. It implies the builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of the Earth's magnetic field and deliberately positioned their monuments to interact with this invisible force. Meanwhile, on the Korean peninsula, massive dolmens, table-like structures of colossal capstones resting on upright stones, stand sentinel over the landscape. These were not merely tombs. Geological surveys show they were strategically placed over underground aquifers and natural water veins. The constant flow of water beneath these granite slabs, which are rich in piezoelectric quartz, could have generated a subtle, sustained electrical charge, effectively turning each dolmen into a natural battery. Here we have two cultures separated by the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, with no known contact, yet both building stone monuments that engage with the planet's fundamental energies in a direct, physical way. This convergence is not limited to orientation and materials. The same sacred proportions, like the golden ratio, appear in the layout of Polynesian navigation temples and the dimensions of European stone circles. These mari, or sacred platforms, were precisely aligned to the rising and setting points of key stars, mirroring the astronomical precision of Stonehenge. How could isolated cultures arrive at such similar architectural and energetic solutions? One compelling possibility is the existence of a shared ancestral knowledge, a sophisticated science that was carried across the world by ancient seafarers and then adapted to local conditions over millennia. The other, perhaps even more profound, possibility is that these cultures independently discovered universal laws of nature. They learned through observation and intuition that certain shapes, when built from specific materials and placed in precise locations, would naturally resonate with the Earth's magnetic, acoustic, and telluric energies. They were not copying each other, but rather copying the same underlying blueprint of reality. The fundamental principles at work seem to be geometry, resonance, and interconnection. A perfect sphere, a right angle, a specific harmonic ratio, these are not human inventions, they are fundamental truths of the physical universe. Our ancestors, by building in accordance with these truths, were tapping into a power grid that was already there, waiting to be used. This global tapestry of aligned stones and energized temples points toward a single, cohesive theory, a lost science that understood the Earth not as a dead rock, but as a living, breathing entity pulsating with an energy we are only now relearning to measure. The Antikythera mechanism, recovered from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck, forces a complete re-evaluation of ancient technological prowess. Its intricate bronze gears form a sophisticated analog computer capable of predicting planetary movements and eclipses. This was not an isolated miracle, but a surviving fragment of a much larger, lost body of engineering knowledge. If such a device existed in the Hellenistic world, what other complexities have been completely erased from our historical record? This single artifact shatters the comforting myth of linear human progress, the idea that we have been steadily climbing from primitive ignorance to modern enlightenment. It suggests instead a landscape of history dotted with peaks of advanced achievement, followed by valleys of forgetting. If the great temples were not just places of worship but functioning power plants, then the very structure of those ancient societies must be reinterpreted. Priests and kings may have been less like purely spiritual or political leaders and more like chief engineers, overseeing the distribution and application of a tangible, environmental energy. Their calendars and rituals were not merely symbolic, they were the maintenance schedules and operational protocols for a civilization-wide technology. This perspective dismantles the outdated Eurocentric narrative that positioned the Western world as the sole inheritor and driver of scientific advancement. It demands we acknowledge the profound sophistication of our global ancestors, from the pyramid builders of Mesoamerica to the monolith erectors of Asia. How does this revised history reshape our own identity? To accept that humanity has possessed and lost such profound knowledge is a deeply humbling experience. It replaces a story of inevitable ascent with one of fragility and rediscovery, inviting a new kind of curiosity about the silent stones our ancestors left behind. We have journeyed from the silent geometry of sacred sites to the tangible hum of their energy, piecing together a forgotten science that connected earth to sky. These ancient structures stand not as ruins of superstition, but as monuments to a profound human insight, a persistent drive to live in harmony with the universe itself. The precision of a solstice alignment, the resonant frequency of a stone chamber, the focused power of collective ritual, all point toward a unified understanding of our world as a living, breathing system. What we are rediscovering today with quantum sensors and satellite imagery is not a new truth, but a very old one, patiently waiting in the stone. This journey challenges the very foundation of our historical narrative, replacing a story of primitive struggle with one of sophisticated collaboration with nature. It invites us to look at our own modern world with new eyes. Could the key to a sustainable future lie not in inventing something entirely new, but in remembering an ancient principle that we are part of the energy we seek to harness? Let this exploration be a starting point for your own curiosity. How does this change the way you see the standing stones in a field or the pyramid on the horizon? Share your perspective in the comments below, and if you feel the call to look deeper, subscribe to continue unraveling the great mysteries that bind our past, present, and future together.